The Tigers lose a heartbreaker in extra innings to the Padres. We got some injury updates for you as well. All today on Locked On Tigers.
You are Locked On Tigers, your daily Detroit Tigers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Locked On Tigers. I'm, of course, your host, Scott Bentley. Today is Thursday, September 5th, 2024. Thank you so much for making Locked On Tigers your first listen. Every single day, we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Prize Picks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use code all lowercase LockedOnMLB to win $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. Prize Picks, run your game. Welcome in, welcome all. Happy Thursday, everybody. The Tigers lose 6-5 in extra innings to the San Diego Padres. Absolutely just a gut punch of a loss. Peek behind the curtain, it is 1:30 in the morning. So if we're here no matter what, right? We're here, your team every day. That's what we're providing here. I'm gonna I almost had coffee, but I was like, I do want to sleep after I'm done with work. So we'll see how this turns out, but I appreciate you all for tuning in, even after the gut-wrenching loss that was Thursday night's ball game. They are now 70-70, they being the Detroit Tigers, so exactly back to a 500 record. This was a really frustrating loss for a lot of reasons. This is the type of loss, though, that happens when your team is as young as the Detroit Tigers team currently is. And at the end of the day, I know everybody's caught up in the playoff race and we're, like standings watching and whatnot. But this September is for development. That's what it's always been about. That's what it will continue to be about. And if they win some games and make September interesting, that is just a really nice side effect of the goal of September, which is to get some youth some playing time. So hopefully this young Tigers team will take this loss and they will learn how to win a game like this going forward. There's a lot of factors that made this a very tough environment to win, right? Extra innings, West Coast, obviously on the road against a playoff team in the San Diego Padres, right? A playoff hopeful, I guess you'd call it, but like a playoff caliber team in the Padres. So really frustrating. And like I said, a gut punch of a loss, but hopefully this experience or the experience gained, I guess, in this ball game will help the team going forward, because ultimately that is what September is about. The San Diego Padres are currently the first wild card. So yeah, they're while it's not a guarantee, I guess, it would be pretty shocking if they were to somehow not make the postseason. Let's start with what went wrong in this one. I'm going to start off with seemingly any pitch to Jackson Merrill the entire evening. I mean, my goodness, man. I'm not trying to discount what he did, because he is an unbelievable talent. If the season ended today, he would get my vote for NL Rookie of the Year. I love watching the dude play baseball, right? Not trying to take away anything from what he did. But the pitches that were thrown to him tonight were absolute garbage. The fastball that was thrown to him coming out of a Fetter mound visit was not very good whatsoever by Keider Montero. We'll talk about him a little bit later. And then obviously you have what did that end up being? A double from Shelby Miller on a splitter that caught way too much of the plate. Two beautiful inside-out swings. Again, in no way, shape, or form trying to take away from what he did in this ball game. But golly, if the Tigers couldn't have made it at least a little bit more difficult for him, as opposed to just going out there and throwing the ball over the heart of the plate and then being surprised when something like that occurred. So did not handle Jackson Merrill very well. He goes 3 for 5 with a home run and 3 RBIs. So many walks against as well. I mean, for a team, and this is not something that I have said very often on this show, which I appreciate, and I'm glad that that is the case, right? I'm very happy that this team has prioritized the dominate the strike zone mentality, right? But I mean, my goodness, man, they could not find the zone in this ball game whatsoever, and uh, in as a result, very inefficient pitching and a lot of walks given up against the San Diego Padres. Again, we'll talk about Montero specifically later, but this was really all ball game. I mean, I guess this kind of transitions into one of my next points. I have no clue how this game even got to extras. How the Padres did not win this game in the 7th or 8th inning, I will never know. I have zero clue. The Padres were so comfortably the better baseball team from like the 5th inning on. I have zero clue how the Tigers even managed to limp in to extra innings. Completely uncompetitive on the offensive side of the ball for the entire second half of the ball game, and that cost them. That did cost them. They scored 5 early. They scored 5 in the first 4 innings, then went 1 for 10 with runners in scoring position over the course of the game. Also, not like it was the bottom of the lineup coming up in those situations every time. You had Spencer Torkelson coming up a lot in those. He came up with 2 outs in a couple of those and walked in one of them, to be fair to him. Not trying to just pick on him. This was a team-wide issue. And just like Kerry Carpenter swinging at balls, a mile over his head, something he struggled with a lot. Kind of his one kryptonite at the moment is just he likes the high cheese, man. He likes the high stuff. Bull Durham, lay off the high stuff, man. He has really struggled with that. But again, this was top to bottom. Everybody in the lineup. Parker Meadows, 0 for with a couple of strikeouts. Just really unfortunate. And the most unfortunate part is that they got off to a really good start. They hit Yu Darvish really well. I love Yu Darvish, and he is a guy that has about 57 different pitches and can locate all of them. And unfortunately, the second that he got, I guess they hit Matsui pretty decently as well there in the 4th. But like this Padres bullpen was nails for the entire, I say, second half, going into extra innings as well. The Tigers did not score the Manfred runner in extras. Now, I've been picking on the offense here because this was a frustrating ball game where in terms of the offensive side of the ball, where they get out to the big lead early and then just can't do anything the entire rest of the game. They're terrible with clutch hitting and whatnot. So I've been picking on the offense a lot, but Keider Montero struggled in this ball game. So let's talk about the pitching. Okay, we will do that right after this. Got to talk to y'all today about our friends over at Prize Picks. Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. Prize Picks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports because unlike other apps on Prize Picks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. One Caleb Williams passing yard can get you 1 win on Prize Picks every single week in September. That's right. Only 1 yard gets you an automatic win every football weekend in September. 4 weeks of free W's. Don't miss this deal on Prize Picks because it's gone when September ends. And you can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. That's right. And we just gave you basically a free one. So go check out Prize Picks again now that football season is back. They have so much fun action to get in on over there. And when you download the Prize Picks app today, use code LOCKEDONMLB and get $50 instantly when you play just $5. That's code LOCKEDONMLB on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks, run your game. All right, everybody, welcome back here. Segment 2 of Locked On Tigers. Appreciate y'all for tuning in as always, making us your first listen every single day. Shout out to the everydayers that do tune in every day. And we will, of course, be back tomorrow recapping the series finale against the San Diego Padres. After you make us your first listen, make Locked On MLB your second listen. Host Paul Sullivan, a.k.a. Sully, is here to provide daily national expertise with his trademark humor to help you get ready for the MLB playoffs. Again, Locked On MLB. Available on YouTube, wherever you get your podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So let's talk about the pitching side of things. We talked a lot about the offense here. Keider Montero goes 4 1/3, 7 hits, 5 earned runs, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts, and obviously the big home run against. This was a really weird outing for Montero because this final line is really ugly. And at the end of the day, we lost 6-5. And he gave up 5 of those 6 runs. And the one run that scored was the Manfred runner in extra innings. So it's really hard to pin this loss. Like 5 runs isn't an awful day at the office, despite the fact that they were very quiet and completely shut down in the second half and in the high, pressure moments late in game. 5 runs from your starting pitcher is not going to get it done too terribly often, and his ERA is over 5 on the season, and this has been something we've talked about a lot. Keider Montero has been a very, very large talking point of this show for quite some time, and the weird thing about this outing specifically was that the stuff was different, and I don't mean different in the sense of, oh, like he added some velocity or he threw a pitch that like we're not used to seeing. His stuff was literally different. Like his slider was way faster than it has been all year, and it was tighter. It was not as loopy as it usually is. He also still offered the curveball. He also threw a changeup that I think looked much different than it has most of the year. So this pitching coaching staff, Lund, Fetter, Nieves, continue to kind of tweak some of the pitches and some of the repertoire of Keider Montero. And so when you see that, it's really hard for me to get super frustrated about a pitching performance when it's a rookie that was never supposed to be in the rotation this year and is actively getting his stuff messed with, like tinkered with, right? Like it's really hard for me to be upset when he gives up 5 runs to a really good lineup in a playoff team on the road when he's throwing some stuff for the first time ever in game. He has literally never thrown that changeup or that slider before. Literally. They mentioned it on the broadcast. That's the fastest slider he has thrown all season by like 2 or 3 miles an hour. So, yes, the final line was ugly. Was it a good outing? No. This is certainly he finds himself in the category of what went wrong, but he was literally offering stuff that he's never offered before, and this is a good lineup. The faster slider, I think, has potential. In this outing, he had no clue where it was going. When it was located well, it was lethal, but it was not located very well and hung over the heart of the plate very often. The curveball then becomes ineffective when the slider isn't that when the power slider doesn't fool hitters or isn't consistent, then the curveball loses all of its value, right? The whole point of having 2 different breaking balls is so that somebody can sit on one and then get offered the other, and the curveball was kind of hit around the yard in this one. The changeup, sparingly located well, kind of all over the place. But the biggest reason why he struggled in this outing was actually not anything to do with any of the new secondary pitches he was offering, which is another layer as to why this outing was just so strange. The reason why he struggled was because he had 0 fastball effectiveness. Could not get a swing and miss on the fastball. Didn't matter if it was up in the zone. Didn't matter if it was down in the zone. It just didn't matter. He struggled mightily to be just successful, period, with his fastball, and had a little bit of a sinker as well. Tried to get some ground balls, got a decent amount of ground balls. But when you're not getting swings and misses on the 4-seam fastball, that spells for a tough day at the office a lot of times. And that really sets up everything else. especially when it's brand new. So, yeah, the pitch to Merrill was brutal. That was really not good. This was not a very good outing. I'm not trying to tell you it was anything other than a bad outing. It was not a good outing. It's really hard for, like, again, like as we started the show, this is for development, and that's what this outing was for Montero. It was for development, and it didn't go very well against a really good team. Just kind of where the team is at. Not nice little refresher, some cold water to the face about where this team actually is. I think, and where certain players as well, specifically, are currently in their development. What went right in this game? Again, it was not all doom and gloom. There was a lot to like here. They did push the game into extra innings against a team that is much better than them, 9.5 games better than them in the standings. I thought Matt Vierling was the star of the show. Genuinely, this is one of my favorite Matt Vierling performances of all time. Genuinely, in his entire Tigers tenure. A lot of T's there. This is one of my favorite Matt Vierling performances. Was solid defensively and hit a home run to start off the ball game on a 95-mile-an-hour fastball up and in to Yu Darvish, who is a guy that, again, as I said earlier, has about 50 different pitches. And Matt Vierling turned and pulled a fastball up and in on an 0-2 count. Beautiful at bat. My favorite hit of the season for Vierling. He also had a stolen base that he stole with ease because Matt Vierling is really fast, and it just frustrates me beyond belief that he is as fast as he is and doesn't get stolen bases. It's mind-boggling to me. So it was really good to see that. This was a perfect glimpse of like how good Matt Vierling could be at his best. He was affecting the game in so many different ways. And there's some people that say I'm like too critical of him or like pick on him too much. I promise it's not intentional. I think it's maybe, again, just the fact that I think he has the ability to be like a really good player. And this game was, again, kind of the perfect epitome of that. Got a few more players on the side of things that went right. Then we'll talk stuff. Okay, we will do that right after this. It's summertime, which means it's barbecue season. Stock up on all your grilling favorites and earn cash back on every purchase when you use Ibata. So you won't have to choose between burgers or hot dogs. You can just get both, baby. All right. Ibata is a free app that lets you earn cash back every single time you shop. Earn on hundreds of items from groceries to beauty supplies, even toys, so you can make sure you're beating inflation no matter what you're purchasing. The average Ibata user earns $256 per year. That could cover the cost of an entire shopping trip, that flight you've been eyeing, or the fancy dinner that you have been craving. Other apps give you points that don't really amount to much, and with Ibata, you can earn cash back that you can withdraw straight to your bank account, PayPal, or a gift card. Simply add offers in the app, upload your receipt, and voila, the money is yours. Right now, Ibata is offering listeners $5 just for trying Ibata and using the code LOCKEDONMLB when you register. Join today at the App Store or Google Play Store and download the free Ibata app to start earning cash back with code LOCKEDONMLB. That's IBOTTA in the Google Play or App Store. Use code LOCKEDONMLB. All right, everybody, welcome back here. Third and final segment. Locked On Tigers, as we so graciously approach the 2 a.m. mark here in my time. So what else went right in this ball game? Talked about Matt Vierling. Trey Sweeney had a really good day at the plate. Had a home run off of a lefty, I believe. Hanger, just an absolute hanger up in the zone that he turned and burned on. And then also drew a walk off of a lefty later in the game. Saw a lot of sliders low and away. Was able to spit on them. I thought that was a really impressive at-bat. Trey Sweeney's biggest issue so far in his major league career has been swing and miss. He is swinging and missing so much. And so to see him against his off platoon go out there, draw a walk, have some pop was really nice to see. Still swung and miss a boatload in this ball game, but results are results, and it was nice to see him do that against a lefty. Colt Keith, nice bounce back game as well, been struggling lately. had, I believe, the only hit with runners in scoring position in this ball game. Goes 2 for 4, stays in against lefties, gets a hit against the lefty. Nice to see. And then honestly, like if I had to give out a player of the game, if the Tigers ended up winning this ball game, I probably would have come on here and really started pumping the tires on Will Vest, man. I don't know. Maybe it's dad's strength, but like ever since the birth of his second child, congratulations to the Vest family, as we said when he got put on the paternity list. This dude, ever since he came back from the paternity list, has been like one of the greatest relievers I've ever seen. He has been unbelievable. His stuff today was maybe the best I've ever seen it. I was blown away by how good he looked. 2 innings, shutout ball, really uncompetitive by the Padres. Like it was not even close. He was shoving. So yeah, he looked absolutely incredible. And if you had to pick a pitcher that did well in this ball game, certainly Will Vest is going to be the answer to that question. Let's talk stuff. I mean, the Tigers, although it was a loss, if you're trying to find silver linings and try and find, learnable experiences and developing moments in this ball game, they tightroped their way out of danger quite a few times. Like I said earlier, I have zero clue how this ball game was tied after 9 innings. That's how close the Padres were to scoring and how much they should have scored so many different times in those last 3 innings, especially. And so that is credit to the Tigers and to some of the relievers and to the defense. That is a credit to them to get out of those dangerous situations and keep this game close, right? They gave themselves a chance to win a ball game that honestly I don't think should have even been as close as it ended up looking. And that is a credit to them. And so I think that, again, if you're looking for, what can they take away from this game, how to play, like I said at the beginning, in a close competitive ball game against a really good team on the road. So there is a lot that can come out of this. A lot of lefty matchups in this ball game from the Tigers offense perspective, which we don't see very often. Usually AJ is very quick on the hook and didn't in this ball game. And it worked sometimes and sometimes didn't, right? We talked about Sweeney, we talked about Colt Keith, but like Kerry Carpenter did not look very good against lefties. He did crush 1 ball against the lefty in his, I believe, his final at bat, maybe second to last at bat, whenever that fly ball to center field was. But was still swinging at balls, at his eyes against lefties and whatnot. So kind of hit or miss. We talked about Sweeney already as well. But didn't pinch hit much. And I think they talked about it a little bit on the broadcast, but I think this was probably a strategy play of, okay, if you're going to burn your lefties early, then I am going to leave all my lefties in so that when you do inevitably go to a righty later in the game, because you don't have any lefties left, then I'm going to have the platoon in the later innings. And I honestly think that was the right call. And hindsight's 2020, right? Clearly it would have been better to have scored some runs in those middle innings. But I think in the moment there, you have an early lead, right? You go out and you score 5 runs in the first 4 innings. I think that is the right move. You go, okay, we have a lead. If we can burn through their lefties and then still have the platoon advantage in the later innings, if we do, if the Padres do happen to come back, then that's what we want. And I think they set themselves up nice for that. It just, again, young team against darn good ball club over there in San Diego, and this was the result. So I didn't really have an issue with how this was managed. The bullpen management was I think pretty fine as well. Like the bullpen didn't give up any runs. The only run given up besides Montero was the Manfred runner in the 10th there. So frustrating. Really frustrating ball game. Also frustrating for the Padres. I forget who it was. Who was the runner that slipped? Who was? I totally forget. I'm completely blanking. Again, 2 a.m. You're gonna have to bear with me here. But base runner just completely slipped on his way to third base. Ends up not advancing to third. Tatis then flies out. And next thing you know, the game is still tied. And the Tigers, again, tightrope their way out of danger, don't allow a run. in that inning. That was nothing short of a miracle. That had nothing to do with the Tigers. That was just very kind of lucky, to be completely honest with you. But that was something that was really interesting to watch, because that run would have prevented this game from going into extras. They just want to won it outright. If the Tigers ended up winning that game, that would have been a huge moment in the ball game. So I think that's pretty much all I got to cover on this game. Injury update: Reese Olson is beginning rehab assignments soon, and that is really exciting for those who are hanging on to hope. The good news is, in terms of the wild card, race that the Tigers may or may not be in, did get some losses from some teams above them. However, also a big win for the Royals. So the Tigers are now 5.5 back. That is a lot of games to make up in a month, man. That is a lot of ball games to make up in a month's time. But every day is a new day. And who knows, Kansas City goes out there and loses, and the Tigers win. Then on September 5th, they're back at 4.5 back versus being at 5.5 back on the night of the 4th. So we'll see what happens. Not trying to discourage anyone, not trying to tell anybody how to be a fan. Never want to do that. You root for the Tigers however you want to. If you're hanging on to hope, so be it. That's what makes the game fun. I want a meaningful September too. That's just a lot of ball games. But if there is any hope for, this down the stretch, getting Reese Olson back would be a huge help in that, and would be, getting some reinforcements and that, knock on wood, don't want any injuries to happen the rest of the way. But if Reese Olson came back, you would be very close to fully healthy to end the year, which I think would also be something in its own right. That would be somewhat of an accomplishment. It would be really nice to see. So let's shoot for that. All right. Series finale against the Padres tonight at 8:40 p.m. It'll be Casey Mize against Martin Perez. I don't know why I have this memory of Martin Perez just absolutely dicing us. Is that earlier this year? No, that doesn't make any sense, I feel like. I don't know why. I'm going to have to look it up. I don't know. Maybe it was last year. I just have some memory of him just absolutely dicing us, but maybe I'm just completely making that up because it's 2 a.m. and I barely even know what I'm saying currently. Casey Mize, we're looking for a bounce back performance. Only had one outing since coming back from the IL. This will obviously be his second. I thought the slider was improved last time, and we knew it was going to be improved. Everybody in the organization was talking about how it was going to be improved, so it better have been. But looking for the splitter to be anything. Really, I'm at a point now where he's far enough in his career, even despite all the time missed, we're like, this is either a pitch that's going to be a part of his repertoire and is like the A pitch that got him drafted 1-1, or it's not. And we kind of have to draw the line in the sand. I'm tired of throwing that pitch out there and it just being completely ineffective. So we'll see what happens with that. And then obviously we always keep an eye on fastball velocity with Mize too, just because that's been so kind of inconsistent throughout his major league career. But honestly, this whole season, it's been pretty consistently in the mid-90s, which has been nice to see. So looking for a nice outing there. Don't get swept. Let's end on a win. Thanks for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every single day. Shout out to the everydayers that do tune in every day. We will, of course, be back tomorrow recapping the series finale against the Padres, and then obviously previewing the series against the Oakland A's in Oakland. A's weirdly playing some decent baseball. Lawrence Butler is a star. I have absolutely loved that player since he was in the minor leagues, and I'm so happy to see him thriving. And on top of all of that, the Tigers historically do terrible in Oakland. So let's make that not happen. Padres first, though. Peace and love. Going to therapy's dope. I appreciate you all so much. I hope that this I care about the product of this show very, very much. It is my life. So I hope that that it was a good enough show despite it being kind of a late night. Okay. Peace and love. Going to therapy's dope. I already said that. Catch you all tomorrow, baby. Go Tigers.